We thought it's appropriate to have AI have the last word of the day here. So very big welcome to Dan Wagner from Resolve AI, who has been a veteran of the e-com industry. Maybe Dan, do you want to give a quick introduction about yourself,
Sure.
your decades of experience and Resolve?
Sure. First of all, thank you everybody for attending. I've been doing e-commerce, information services, SaaS, and search technology since 1984 when I set up the first online information platform that went on to become the world leader in online information over the next 16 years. It was listed on the London stock market and NASDAQ, and then we sold it to Reuters, Thomson Reuters in 2000, at which point we were operating in 192 countries. It was the largest information resource at the time and provided information to lawyers for patent searches and investment bankers for brokerage research and news and stuff like that. And in order to build that business, we obviously had to build expertise in data centers, and we had 3 of the largest data centers on the planet, one in Singapore, one in Bern, Switzerland, one in Palo Alto, that were operating 24/7, 365. So we were running basically cloud services. But we were also having to manage the interrogation of very large amounts of content. And so we cut our teeth on structuring data, interrogating data. And this is the foundation of AI today, Gen AI, in terms of being able to interrogate information. We've just progressed that over the last few decades. After I sold that business, I set up a business that became market leader in e-commerce that was soon sold to Oracle in 2014, is now called Oracle Commerce Cloud. It's their main cloud architecture. And I built some other businesses in search as well. So I started Resolve AI in 2016. We had a very clear objective around the business, which was to create a Gen AI interface to digital environments that would allow consumers to engage on e-commerce and digital platforms in the same way they engage with salespeople in physical retail stores. And the reason that I wanted to do this, other than the obvious nature of it being better than the traditional way of using e-commerce, is because in the e-commerce and digital channels, there's a huge amount of cart abandonment or checkout attrition.
Yeah.
In fact, it represents 70% of visitors to e-commerce platforms. So, it doesn't work, obviously, because when you go into a physical store, 7 out of 10 people end up buying a product. And if you have the converse relationship with digital platform, there's a problem. And we believe that problem is the lack of information. And I'll give you an example as to what I mean. My wife could not buy a mobile phone for me if she was asked to do it online, because she doesn't know what Android is or iOS. She doesn't know what a megabyte is or a megapixel or an OLED screen. And the e-commerce sites that present mobile phones describe the products in that way. But if she walked into AT&T's store on Lexington and 34th Street, she would very likely end up being able to buy me a phone, because the salesperson in that store would ask her a few questions like, does your husband use a PC or a Mac? Does he use his phone for taking pictures? Does he need a long battery life? Does he want a top-end phone or a mid-range phone? What's your budget? And within a few questions, he or she would present the right phones to my wife. She'd probably end up buying a phone for me. So what we wanted to do with Resolve was create a Gen AI environment and interface which represented the world's best salesperson for that store or that product or catalog. And in order to do that, we had to develop our own large language model, which was focused on sales. But we also had to address, which we knew would be a big problem back in 2016, the propensity to hallucinate, the propensity for AI to go off-piste and make things up. And it's because of our long history of managing data and interrogating data and search that we knew that the way Gen AI works, which is kind of guessing using probabilistic mathematics to guess the next word in a sentence, we knew that there was going to be a problem with hallucinations. So we spent 9 years, really, up until this point, trying to solve the problem of hallucinations, and we created a number of patents and processes that protect our inventions around this area. And we believe we're actually one of the only AI companies on the planet today that is delivering a solution that is hallucination-free. And hallucinations are a greater problem in product catalogs than they are anyway in other environments, even though that's prevalent as well, because product catalogs kind of throw off AI even more perversely. I'll give you an example. If I'm a cosmetic store and I have a product, a range of aftershaves on in my product catalog, one of the aftershaves might be called Beast, and another might be called Savage, and the descriptions would be things like sandalwood notes with blackberries and barbecue flavors or whatever. And this misleads the predictive analysis of Gen AI to think that you're talking about an animal or you're talking about the forest or something. So we had to solve that problem, and we have. And as a result, we have a unique proposition and solution for retailers to address this attrition issue in their e-commerce platforms with a very elegant experience in digital environments.
Yeah, that definitely sound like a big differentiation motion, because we certainly see tons of hallucination across Gemini. Doesn't matter what model it is. So it's great to see there's some kind of different way to kind of reduce that hallucination and help some of the Gen AI as we go into more production use cases here. I guess maybe it's good sense like, is that some of the differentiation that helps you gain some of these larger contracts that you see with like Microsoft and Google that you recently sign big contracts partnership with? Maybe you can give a little more detail.
Yeah, well, look, I think the first point to make is that anyone in the audience here or listening through the webcast or whatever will be familiar with the fact that they have yet to engage with e-commerce platforms that put up a sophisticated conversational engagement. And the reason for that is that the existing models that are out there, OpenAI's ChatGPT, Anthropic, Claude, Perplexity, and Gemini, and others, cannot handle product catalogs because of the reasons I described, and therefore make errors. And for those bold companies that went ahead and used these models to try to address this challenge, like Air Canada, which ended up selling airline tickets for nothing, or more recently, Taco Bell, that ended up using it in drive-throughs, and customers were being given the wrong products and being given nine Coca-Colas and things like that. These problems are arising because the foundational nature of Gen AI in these other models aren't designed for this particular purpose. So we've addressed that problem. That's the first point to make. And we believe that we're the only ones who've done it. Now, in order to reach the market in an effective way and to become the market leader, which we aspire to be and believe that we will be, there are three routes for us that we believe need to be executed flawlessly over the next few years. The first is obviously organic growth through our own direct sales team, and we are having tremendous success with that at the moment. From a standing start, we announced in June that we've achieved 70 million in ARR in less than 6 months from a standing start, and we're expecting to exit this year in excess of 100 million in ARR. I think that's pretty impressive from a standing start in any event, and that's coming through our organic channels. The second channel is partnership, leveraging relationships that partners have with their customers to sell through. And I'm very pleased that we partnered with both Microsoft and Google, both of whom are highly competitive with each other, both of whom didn't want to do a non-exclusive deal with me, but we refused to do anything other than non-exclusive. And in the end, Microsoft came forward and partnered with us initially. Sorry, I was sorry. Someone was talking to me. I'm not quite sure what it was. Technical hitch, I think. Microsoft wanted to do, eventually succumb to the idea of not being exclusive, and then Google, who initially were rather upset about the whole thing, they also ended up partnering with us. And why have they done that? Well, first of all, we have products that solve problems that are AI support, AI foundations. That in the market today, many of the solutions that are being offered are simply a bag of cement to a customer to say, go build yourself a skyscraper. And a lot of these customers don't know how to build a skyscraper. So what we've done is we've delivered the solution. We're saying, here is, a skyscraper. If you'd like to take an office floor, I mean, that analogy is just illustrative. But the point is that we've delivered solutions that solve problems. Both Microsoft and Google are excited to sell that into their customer base. The channel, vertical channels of retail and consumer are motivated to do that because they have nothing else really to sell. And we're seeing tremendous take-up and momentum in that as a result of those two very important partners. In addition, those partners are making it very compelling for their customers and their sales organizations to sell our solutions. In the case of customers, they are offering those customers the ability to offset their spend on Resolve against their commitment to Microsoft Azure or Google Cloud. And that's very compelling because the customer doesn't need to create a new budget for Resolve. They can just allocate some of their already commitment to those companies to the Resolve solution suite. And secondly, they've incentivized their sales organization to sell Resolve technologies and solutions into their customers as if they were Microsoft products, and they count towards their quota, their sales quota. So we have a really wonderful dynamic, and we have the additional dynamic of both Microsoft and Google being competitive with each other. And so there's a real rivalry as to who's going to win more business, who's going to be more effective in this partnership than the other. And so we're sitting in the middle benefiting from both of that. And then finally, the third channel obviously is M&A. We're very ambitious in our M&A activity. We have a large vertical focus to acquire businesses that we feel are at the end of their life in terms of their technology, but we can revitalize them with our technology. And the vertical in particular that we're most interested in is search technology. So search technology is prevalently used on all e-commerce platforms. It's that technology that sits behind the little box that you enter, black dress or blue shoes or whatever it is into the box. But that technology is end of life and will be replaced by Gen AI. And the problem is that most of these search companies that exist today have not invested in Gen AI because it's like the Model T Ford versus horse and cart. It's a completely different infrastructure, investment, and architecture. And these search companies that have been operating their horse and carts have not invested in the factories to build the Model T Ford. So when we come along and say, be part of our organization, we benefit not only from their customers and the relationships that they have with those customers and their infrastructure in whichever market they're in, but we also have a very easy path to upsell our technology to their customers. And finally, of course, we pay less of a premium on their revenue, given that they're not growing as fast and so on. So there's a good arbitrage there too. So the bottom line is, with these three channels of direct sales, partnership sales, and M&A, we believe that we can very quickly carve out a strong barrier to entry and market leadership position in a space right now that we feel that we are the pioneer and also stand alone today with our solution.
Yeah, certainly sounds like an enviable position to be in, with Microsoft and Google fighting for your technology here. And then there's certainly not a lot of AI companies that grew from basically 0 to 100 million within 12 months. So can you give us a little bit more detail about how did that growth happen within this year? What kind of inflection, whether technology that got turned on between the products or just the go-to-market motion that changes that makes you saw that big jump this year?
Yes, I mean, look, it's a culmination of 9 years of R&D. It's the culmination of many years of activity. We did have a very large business in China in partnership with the state-owned enterprise, China UnionPay, that grew from nothing to over $100 million in 2.5 years. Unfortunately, we had to, carve that business out during the listing process, because at the time the SEC were very skeptical of an AI payments business that had most of its revenue coming from the state of China. So putting that to one side, we were very confident that even though we carved that business out and ended up actually listing with no revenue, that we had the smarts and the skills and market expertise that would allow us to rebuild that very quickly. So that's the first point to make. So we didn't go into this, daunted by this. The second thing is that our products have been tested in market and they've been around, as I said, in China. So we came at the market, modified suite of solutions, but we came at the market with a great deal of experience and market testing. And our products are deployable very fast. They've been integrated into the major e-commerce platforms. They can be deployed very quickly by customers. That's very attractive to Google and Microsoft too, for the reasons I explained earlier. So as a result of all of those factors, we kind of hit the ground running in January of this year, focused entirely on driving revenue and growth. Whereas in the lead up to that period, after our de-SPAC process, which was painful, and all of the baggage that we had as a result of the SPAC, which we got rid of, we came out of 2024 with a clean cap structure, cash on the balance sheet, no hangovers, no funky debt structures or anything like that. Everything was nice and clean, and we could focus on execution and market growth. And that's what we're doing now. I mean, our entire focus as an organization is on driving revenue and growth. We don't have a huge R&D overhang. We don't have a huge technical overhang or structural overhang that might hit us or the stock. We just have execution objectives, and those are being, executed, I think, in a very professional way. And that comes as a result of the really experienced, capable team that we have at Resolve, and the fantastic products and partners that we have, allowing us to drive it forward.
Yeah, I think that's certainly also a landmark deal that you guys signed with 𝗪𝗧𝗡 this year, like $10 million annual revenue. Are they the biggest customer? And then what set of customers set that you have that we can look forward to, that we could drive that sustainability of growth going forward?
They're the biggest customer that we've announced. We announced the deal with Liverpool, which is a very large retail group in Mexico, over 50,000 employees, the third largest retail group in Mexico. And but that's behind Amazon and Mercado Libre, which is a marketplace. So they're basically the biggest retailer, physical retailer in Mexico. And they signed a multi-year $10 million annual contract with us, and they are very engaged and very enthusiastic about using more of our technologies and more of our services as we develop that relationship. That is, of the larger end of our customer base. We announced that we had more than 50 enterprise customers by the half year. We will be announcing an update on the half years in October, on October the 1st, and we'll give a bit more of an update on progress since then. But out of the 50 customers, Liverpool is in the top 20%, the large accounts, and it's a typical 80-20 rule where 20% of the customers represent 80% of the revenue, and the balance sit between $1 million a year and below. But all of them are blue chip names, from Dunkin' Donuts to Ace Hardware to BJ's Wholesale to what have you. And all of them are deploying our technology in a slightly different way to meet the needs of their customers. But that's the whole purpose of it. I mean, our technology is really designed as a kind of salesperson that is indoctrinated on day one for that customer with the products and the services that customer wants to sell. What we've done is we've made sure that salesperson, that virtual salesperson, is highly sophisticated in selling and highly capable in selling and highly knowledgeable, once we've ingested the content of that customer's product catalog and solutions. And as a result of that, we believe, and we're seeing, massive reduction in attrition in checkout. From 70%, we see the 25% improvement in checkout. These are early stats. We're only seeing early days, but we think that we can improve that materially. And I think that it stands to reason. It's common sense. If you're able to get the answers to the questions you need when you're on a digital site, in a rich and fulsome way, then you're going to be better placed to place an order. And I always find that when I go into a physical retail store and there's a great salesman there, I end up buying something. And when there's a poor salesman there, I don't. And I think that same metric, that simple metric, can be applied to digital channels too.
Right, certainly agree. I think the one you said, providing the empathy part to the customer, certainly helps drive better sales or even closing process. $10 million for a company to spend annually is certainly a lot of money, especially spending on software. Can you tell us a little bit about how are they spending that $10 million? What are the products they're using? I know there's Brain Checkout, Brain Commerce, Brain Power.
It's mainly at the moment, it's Brain Commerce, which is our conversational commerce, but we have other tools in there. We use AI to spin up landing pages. I'll give you an example, which we call SEO Studio. So, for example, if people are searching Google tomorrow on Barbie pink because the Barbie movie just came out, and that's a topical search term. In real time, because this is a customer that we won alongside Google, in real time, what happens is we get all of these search terms that people are searching from Google, and then we spin up a landing page for Liverpool that's Barbie pink. So when somebody searches Barbie pink, Liverpool's comes up high on the organic search of Google. They click through, and then there'll be a set of products that are Barbie pink, I assume. I'm just using that as an example. But the point is that we did, I think it was 30 billion or 300 billion or 300 million. I can't remember what the number is, but a huge amount of these pages are being dynamically created by our AI to capture, interested search terms, and allowing that merchant to spin up, in an automated way, these landing pages, and there's an infinite number. And these kind of clever uses of AI to capture customers and then convert them when they arrive is what we're doing with AI. We're really driving that user experience into a whole new realm of sophistication and convenience for customers to make it easier for them to find products. Now, remember, there is an overriding dynamic in e-commerce, which is that Amazon represents 50 cents of every dollar paid in the United States, growing online. So the other 50 cents represents the entire retail online community in the US, split between all of them. So if we can capture users when they search Google, or when they, if we can capture them and bring them in to their site and convert them because there's a great salesman at the site that they land on, then we are going to improve that 70% attrition, which massively has an impact on the revenue of those retailers. So we're doing something really important for those retailers by helping them sell more products and not lose the customers that end up getting to their sites. Remember, it costs them an awful lot of money to drag a customer from somewhere to their site, and it's even worse to lose 70% of those.
All right. Sounds like they're getting the good ROI.
They're getting a great ROI. And this is the thing, there are other AI, and I'm not picking on other AI companies, but there are other propositions that have massive R&D capital requirements to deliver something in the future that may or may not have value to somebody. We have no R&D, very little R&D nowadays. We've done all of that. We are focused purely on execution. And I think that, there is an element of common sense that always needs to be played out in these market revolutions, irrespective of how big the opportunity is, irrespective of how exciting the potential is, to keep your feet on the ground. There is a real business case that we are delivering real ROI to our customers, and that's why we're winning big accounts and having so much success in the market.
Yeah, certainly. I guess even you guys adding professional services to the sales motion as well. Like, maybe talk us through why you're focusing more on professional services.
Look, we're a commercial and opportunist business, a company. We will take advantage of any opportunity to increase revenue and engage better with our customers. And what's happened is, the customers that we're winning, just if you go back to 2000, late 90s and 2000, when the dot-com boom really was moving into e-commerce in a material way, most retailers didn't have the product catalogs that were needed to support their e-commerce channels. They didn't have pictures of their products. They didn't have good descriptions of their products because they were used to putting a sweater on the shelf and putting a little tag underneath that said how much it is. They didn't have to write a description about it and take pictures of it in different ways. And so what happened was they had to learn how to enhance their product catalogs so that it would be better received when people were interrogating them. What's happening now when you move into Gen AI and certainly with the solutions that we're providing is that we need a much greater level of data around the products. It's so that the great salesman is sophisticated in every way about that product. How brilliant would it be to go to an Armani store and have Giorgio Armani tell you about the suit, right? But that's kind of what we're trying to do with Gen AI, because if you've got the designer himself or herself telling you about the product, they're going to be much more convincing. They're going to have a lot more data available to them about the fabric, about where it was sourced, about how it feels in the summer and the winter, and this, that, and the other, and a whole load of things about that particular product. So in order to do that, we have to ingest that material. We have to encourage our customers to give it to us. Now, Liverpool is a huge retailer which has tens of thousands of products, and they said to us, we just can't do this in-house. Can you help us? So we saw an opportunity to spin up a professional services business. It now represents a meaningful proportion of our revenue, because all of our customers are saying, please help us do this. Please help enhance that catalog. And so although the gross margins are lower than our business, which is normally 85%, it's a lower gross margin business, it is a important part of making sure that the solution is as effective as we want it to be. And over the next few years, that professional services activity will become less of a meaningful part of it, because retailers will start to bring it in-house, we'll help train them, and then they'll start to do that themselves, which is what we want them to do. But in the early stages of any market development, these kind of greasing of the wheels and educational elements are required.
Yeah, certainly your partnership with Microsoft and Google will help with the system integration part of it as well.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the fact that we are partnered with Google and Microsoft, and the fact that they are selling it to existing customers of theirs, and the fact that we have integrated tightly into their infrastructure, means that it's very, very easy for their customers to deploy us.
Yeah.
And that obviously eases the whole process.
No, it's certainly a good issue to have. I guess the other noteworthy part of the business that happened within the last few quarters is like you acquire GroupBy, and then last week you acquired Vysense. Can you talk a little bit about what makes this an attractive target for you, and how is M&A strategy going forward to help you augment the product set of Resolve?
So both Vysense and GroupBy are search companies. Vysense was a very small company in Singapore, but they had a very impressive team. And what it did is it allowed us simply to have a highly sophisticated, knowledgeable, capable team in Singapore as the hub for our Southeast Asia HQ, as we're getting business coming in from the Asia Pacific markets, and we didn't have really any resources locally. So we got the benefit of a good team, experienced team, good relationships, local location, support from the Singapore government as well. So that was a very good acquisition. So it was tactical, it was talent, bit of technology, and primarily market reach. And in a GroupBy based in Toronto, we won some accounts, but we also got a very good infrastructure in North America as a result of that acquisition. And we see ourselves doing many more of these, because if there's a company in Spain or a company in Brazil or a company in whatever, we want to acquire those businesses and quickly put a flag in the ground and a foot in the door, and then upsell our Gen AI solutions to those customers. It's a much easier solution to have Bill, who's been dealing with Bob for 5 years and has a relationship with him or her, and be able to go in and say, hey, I've got this new capability, rather than us going in from the outside saying, we've got this new thing, we want to displace whatever you're using at the moment. So our strategy to roll up the search companies and then upsell our highly profitable technology into those accounts is a very good strategy that seems to be working very well.
Yeah, I mean, search is definitely like a big industry to focus on. Is there any, intention to kind of replace some of these larger search companies like Elasticsearch out there?
Yeah, I mean, I think all of these guys are end of life. My view is that the existing search technologies in the market today, the time's up. It's only a matter of time before they all disappear. And the new revolution of Gen AI interfaces to e-commerce and digital channels has started with us. And there will be other players coming into the market over time, I'm sure, because it's a very big market opportunity. But we want to make sure that we capitalize on our pioneer status, position ourselves as the market leader, and build on it.
Yeah, I guess with the last 2 minutes here, we'd love to get an idea of what are you most excited about? Are there any big projects that you're looking forward to over the next, say, 12 to 18 months? What do you expect to see from Resolve?
So we are focused on execution now, 100% focused on our execution and carving out our market leadership position. We're going to do it in the 3 ways I mentioned, which is through organic growth, through our partnership sales with Microsoft and Google, and through our acquisitions. We also have a very strong and exciting proposition, which we partnered with Tether, which is the largest crypto asset company in the world. They own USDT, which is a stable coin, and we partnered with them to democratize cryptocurrencies as a daily payment source. That's something that we'll be introducing also in the next 2 years as a mainstay payment method. And I think the combination of what we're doing in transforming digital engagement and e-commerce, and we're looking to transform and shake up the payments industry, sets us at the heart of both crypto and AI. And we are better positioned than almost anybody else on the planet today to do that, partly because of our NASDAQ listing and the value we get from that as a way to use our paper for acquisitions and to raise capital to fund our growth, but also because we have already got so much momentum through our partnerships, through the fact that we have a unique product in the market. It's enough to be excited about all of that. I don't need anything else. I'm very focused on it, and we believe that over the next couple of years, we're going to see tremendous momentum and growth in our business. So it's a great opportunity for investors to come into the stock now and see and join us on this journey, because there's very few companies, I believe, that have the combination of these assets and attributes. And really, the opportunity is to back this leadership team, because there's nothing else in our way. We just have to execute, and I think that we're going to do that extremely well.
Yeah, no, that certainly sounds like an interesting and great way to close out with crypto and AI, right? This is a TMT conference after all. Well, thanks so much, Dan Wagner, for your time. And we're going to have we have a tech conference, we have after hour, happy hour coming up, tennis watch party as well. Feel free to stay around.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks very much. Thanks.